NBA. Zach Lowe was standing by as the Lakers and their big three is looking more and more like they may return next year. I want you to hear what Big Perk had to say yesterday. This is Kendrick Perkins on NBA Today talking about what he expects from Anthony Davis this season.
I actually have Anthony Davis picked as my MVP winner for next season. Early prediction. I think Anthony Davis is going to come back with something to prove. Anthony Davis has been hearing all the noise, all the chatter. I got Anthony Davis motivated, and I got Anthony Davis winning the MVP next season.
Wow, I asked for bold predictions, and there's Big Perk. He's not even in the room, and he gives us one. Zach Lowe, what do you think?
I don't know what's gotten into Perk this week. I'm a little worried about him. He said Steph Curry's prime was going to last 10 more years until Steph was 44. And now this? Look, I think AD is going to have a vengeance year. I totally agree the league has forgotten how damn good this guy is on both ends of the floor. I think he's coming back with a vengeance to reclaim his place as a top 10 NBA player. But top 10 is different than MVP. Winning MVP when you have LeBron James on your team by itself is really hard to do. Then you throw in Luka and Giannis and Steph and Ja and KD and Jokic and Embiid. I think it's more likely Anthony Davis doesn't crack the top 5 in MVP voting than he wins it. So Perk, I love the optimism. I love trying to speak things into existence. I can't go with you on this one, buddy.
So the MVP of it all aside, seeing Anthony Davis sort of recapturing what we have all long believed he was destined to be, which is a player who belongs in the MVP conversation, whether he winds up winning it or not. Do you expect that? You keep telling me that we have forgotten him. Well, he has sort of made it easy to forget him in this conversation. What is your expectation for him this year?
If he remains healthy and plays 65, 70 games, I think he's going to be a first-team or second-team All-NBA player again. He's that good. Really, the only thing that's happened to him, he's had some injuries, and what can you do about that? You just have to hope they don't happen. And his jump shot has kind of mysteriously fallen apart. He was never a great jump shooter, but he was never this bad and this unwilling. And I think part of that is the role he's had to play with the Lakers, becoming more of a jump shooter. Part of that is maybe just a random slump and confidence issues. If that jumper just goes back to average and he's healthy, he's still one of the 5 best defensive players in the league. He's a great all-around offensive talent. I'm expecting a big, big year.
Okay, so that would make Perk not that far from right, even if...
Signs his $47 million player option, guys. $47 million player option. Signs a new 2-year deal that guarantees him $33 for next season. Okay. Now, Jay, I'm very cynical about the way people put spin on stuff. Number one, because it's a PR move. You want people to think well of you a lot of the time. And so you frame things in a way that puts you in a positive light. But number two, also because you want to think well of yourself. People have egos, and people go into ego protection. So when I first heard Harden talk about, I'm going to take less, I'm thinking, James, the market is what it is. And now you got to frame it this way, not only to put a positive spin on it, you know, for your brand, but also for yourself, right? Like you're taking the high road. It's not just he ain't that good anymore. But so I'm cynical when I read this. And yet he did decline of $47 million. You know, and he does get
$14 million pay cut. Right. And he has a player option for next year.
And yet, right. So the numbers, but but the reason I say I'm cynical, Jay, is I'm always like, but wait a minute. 2-year deal that guarantees him $33 next year. What's he getting the year after that? And does he have something worked out? You know, I don't know.
35.6 next year with the player option. He can negotiate a new contract.
So that's essentially, so he gets more money.
It's a 1-year deal essentially. It's like an all in. Like, hey, okay, cool.
He got opt out.
Like, look.
But it's his option.
It's his option. That's what I'm saying.
So, Jay, the reason I'm being cynical is because he can say, and maybe it does dovetail, and it's doing two things at once. It does help them sign guys and everything, House and PJ Tucker. But really what it also does is get him an extra 20-something million and another year. And maybe the way he's feeling now, he's like, I don't know if I'm going to get that in 2 years.
Or Max, it could be a situation where it's, okay, cool. Like, this is how everybody feels. Let's get all the pieces. Let's build depth on their bench. Let me get my ass in shape. And when I come back and I destroy the league again with Joel Embiid, I want a supermax.
See, that's what
I want a supermax.
I think it's that he looks at this, okay, I have a year to get right. We have a better roster. We got more guys to our bench. We're going to be deeper. We have opportunity to go to a championship. We have an offseason together. I can ball out, opt out. I want more money. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, I think so too. But it does do. But the way he spun it was like, I'm so willing to take less. But come on, man. Almost no one's ever. Even when Tom Brady kicked the can down the road, so he's always constantly getting a little influx of cash. But to be fair, Brady doing that allowed the Patriots to be great for a long, long time.
What if Russell Westbrook would have opted out and taken less money? Would you look at that differently?
If he did what Harden did, in other words,
yes.
like actually he takes a little more money, but he extends, but it's less money this year.
Yes.
I don't know if that helps the Lakers because they're all capped out. He would have to take a whole bunch less.
Okay.
And I don't think Westbrook probably at this moment, I don't know, he's a very confident guy, but I imagine he thinks, I might not get, like Harden thinks, come on, man. The bottom line is Harden can shoot and Westbrook can't.
Harden,
that age is better.
Harden is betting on himself right here. He's betting on himself, which I got all the respect. What we talked about is 2.5 years ago, this dude was in Houston. He came into training camp, was literally out of shape, was pictures of him being posted at different hip-hop clubs with rappers hanging out, not giving a damn, to going to Brooklyn, to seeing what Brooklyn was about, and then finding out that's not the way I want to do it, to getting his way out of Brooklyn, and now he's with Daryl Morey, who he trusts. To me, this is a bigger sign about star players being with management in which they trust and believe in to help them win a world championship. Like Daryl Morey's the only guy that potentially would have had James Harden do this, that could get him to do something like this. It's a bigger statement.
And what did he turn down in Houston? What did they offer him? Was it $50 million?
It was $50 million a year.
Oh my goodness! In a state that's tax free too.
And Brooklyn, he turned down the extension in Brooklyn too. He's turned down both extensions 2 years.
To get with somebody he's comfortable with.
Yes. Ooh. So, I mean, you tell me what else you need him to do. And he's saying all the right things, but now we're still cynical. Okay, I get it.
Well, cynical only because people a lot of times frame things as though they're not self-interested and they're almost always actually self-interested.
But you can be both.
I agree. I agree. I think that's the way, a muscular move, you do more than one thing with each move, right? Like you're a chess player, Jay. Mm-hmm. The move doesn't just defend, it attacks, and it does a whole bunch of things at once. And he did put himself in a position and put the team in a position where when you add, like, House is an underrated player to me. No one ever talks about anything, but he's talented. And Tucker, obviously,
and
everyone
by the
knows.
way, they can still potentially add a piece. Don't think that Eric Gordon being out there in Houston, Daryl Morey going to try to save him.
Who's familiar with Eric Gordon. And
he's going to try to save him. And that
PJ
plays
Tucker.
well off Joel Embiid. You ain't doubling off that. Danny Green
Maxey.
is older. I'm telling you. It plays. There's still moves to be made now by Daryl Morey. He's not done.
I love the DeAnthony Melton move.
That's a great move.
Because that's instant offense coming off the bench.
Hey, what's up with Thibault? Did they move him? No, they hung on to Thibault. Yeah, because he needs to develop a little. He needs to shoot it a little better.
It's not that he has to shoot it better. You have to score at least 8 points. You can give me 8 from just layups or 10 from layups. Like he has to be like you can't be.
But his deep
starting.
The reason I say shoot
and having 0 and 2 points a game.
The reason I say shoot is because he is I could, in 10 years from now, 20, 30 years from now, if someone says best defenders, I'd be like, yo, that kid Thibault was ridiculous, right? He's a ridiculous defender. If he could just shoot, he becomes so valuable.
Just feel like right now, Boston, probably the favorite in the East, adding Malcolm Brogdon.
Brogdon's
Philly
a huge
right there.
Pickup. What?
Miami right there.
Boston the favorite over Milwaukee?
I was going to say Boston. I was going to name the teams who are right there.
Oh, okay.
I would probably give us, well, considering they went to the World Championship, even though I think with Chris Middleton, they would have won.
They'd have won, yeah.
But still, like, I'm giving them a slight edge to what they
won?
Huh?
You thought the Celtics would have won?
No, I thought Milwaukee would have won.
Hey, Jay, here's the question. With Middleton, would they have beaten the Warriors?
It would have been close.
It would have been.
It would have been really close.
It would have been. By the way, Steph Curry should send a thank you note to Chris Middleton.
Grant Williams did say something in the pod the other day that he feels like
there has been little traction between Golden State and Brooklyn on such a blockbuster transaction, sources said. Despite the apparent openness, both from Warriors veterans and Durant himself, regarding a superstar reunion in the Bay, Golden State has not been categorized as a team that's made serious overtures to pry Durant from Barclays Center. Pool's extension talks will likely take some time to finalize. Outside of surefire designated rookie deals, the majority of contract extensions for former first-round picks entering the 4th year of their career typically finalize the last week before the next season. With the 2019 class, former number 1 pick Zion Williamson, former number 2 pick John Morant, and fellow All-Star point guard Darius Garland each signed their maximum deals at the start of free agency. The number 7 pick from the 2019 draft, Kobe White, has experienced a checkered career mired by his own injuries and turnover in Chicago. The Bulls have dangled White in trade conversations dating back to the February trade deadline. Chicago also explored deals with White alongside the number 18 pick in this June's draft. White has shown spurts of microwave scoring, but hasn't done so consistently, and league talent evaluators have questioned his natural position dating back to his days at North Carolina. Chicago adding Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso also limited White's minutes last season, before the injury bug came for them too. It appears unlikely White will find an extension prior to the fall. Perhaps if White can continue to flash the shooting stroke that cemented his spot in Chicago's rotation, elevated defense and greater playmaking, a rival team will look to acquire White at the deadline, eager for the chance to pay him next offseason. Dave Fisher covers the NBA for Bleacher Report and is the author of Built to Lose: How the NBA's Tanking Era Changed the League Forever.
All of the trade Russell Westbrook trade buzz this offseason has been squarely centered a potential deal involving the Nets and Kyrie Irving. Despite the Lakers' public campaign to convince rival teams they're willing to start next season with Russ on the roster, Kyrie